We made them fortunes with our hands, and now they want our pension plans. Trend to move jobs overseas is spreading like some bad disease. What they're doing isn't right, and we won't go down without a fight.
Hamilton, Ontario, once known as the manufacturing center of Canada, but one by one, the plants closed shop without warning and headed for cities with cheaper labor. 25,000 workers left jobless, their lives and those of their families devastated.
Yeah, I worked at Siemens for over 20 years, my wife and I. I was laid off, we were both laid off, along with everybody else from the plant closure.
Like so many laid-off manufacturing employees, John pounded the pavement in search of a job, knocking on every door he could think of. But he soon faced another blow.
I get this letter at the door from the FedEx truck telling me that I can't apply those skills anywhere else. What the hell is that? How did I get to that point in my life where somebody says, thanks for everything, but you can't use it. You can't use it to the benefit of you or your family. I don't understand.
Skipping town without notice wasn't enough to satisfy the greedy companies. They also had a parting shot, one which prevented the workers they had fired from using any of the skills they had learned on the job.
If I can't use these skills, what am I supposed to use? Am I supposed to just start fresh, 51 years old, start off with a high school education, go back that far rather than technical training? Because if I apply this technical training, I'm screwed. They can come to my door. They can get a lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer. I've been laid off. I don't have any money. Now it limits my avenues to pursue for employment. So do I work at Walmart? Do I work at a job where I don't have to use these skills for fear that they may come down hard on me, lose my house? My wife, my children were worried that, are we going to lose everything, Dad, again?
We know there are 30,000 people who go to work every single day in Hamilton and aren't earning enough to pull themselves and their families out of poverty. They're the working poor. It's a bad direction we've been moving in as a society. Families no longer have the stability, and it's making it very difficult either to raise a family or to move forward with families' goals and aspirations if work is so precarious these days.
A recent study done by the Hamilton Spectator has outlined the repercussions of a city plunged into poverty. The results of Code Red were shocking.
They looked at the health and income disparities in particular neighborhoods in Hamilton. And we learned from Code Red that people living in poverty are far more likely to need to utilize emergency rooms. Many don't have a family doctor. Many simply can't afford preventative measures to take care of their health. And so people living in poverty are going to emergency rooms in much higher numbers than more affluent people. And that should be of concern to everybody in society because it's costing us more.
The average birth weight for babies born in Hamilton is 30% lower than the Canadian national average. In one neighborhood, 47% of babies were born with low birth weights. In sub-Saharan Africa, the average is 15%, according to the World Health Organization.
The health crises faced by many people is directly linked to their incomes and their lack of income, really.
The neighborhood in Hamilton with the lowest life expectancy rate would rank 165th in the world, just above Nepal and Pakistan. In one of the worst-hit neighborhoods in Hamilton, emergency room visits were 13 times higher than those in Hamilton's best neighborhood.
In Hamilton today, there are enough children utilizing food banks to fill 370 classrooms. That should be unacceptable to anybody.
The best neighborhood's life expectancy was 86.3 years. The worst performing life expectancy was 65.5 years. The results of Code Red were conclusive. Income inequality equals widespread fallout in terms of health and well-being. Tom grew up in one of the most devastated neighborhoods surrounding the former bustling industrial ring. He took us on a tour.
The house I grew up in, right over here, number 85, Stanford Avenue, it's been triplex now, like many other homes around here. And the dynamics of the neighborhood have changed quite a bit, but I'd like to believe that as Hamiltonians we still continue to look out for each other, and I'm sure it's still a very positive neighborhood and lots of great people living here. Segregation of poverty is a reality here in these neighborhoods. People living in them are unhealthy. More unhealthy than their neighbors living just a few kilometers away. I think the prevalence of payday loan companies now are, really indicative of the situation facing many residents that a lot aren't able to access bank accounts any longer, fall into deep debt, and are required to go to these payday loan operations to cash checks or to just get by with what they need for their daily necessities.
Given the medical and social costs of such fallout, social inequality means taxpayers pay more than they would if government addressed the job losses. But big business has an even further reach. People like John are forced to hide their past in order to even be considered for jobs. In the business world, union is a dirty word, even when unions are often the only hope workers have to stop the sort of exploitation to which Hamilton has fallen prey.
If I reveal who I am, my background, I fear that my wife and I spoke with it simply because it's going to limit the opportunities I have in the future to get employment.
It should be unacceptable to all of us. It should make us angry that we live in a society that has become so, I think, obsessed with the bottom line sometimes that we neglect looking after one another. We have to remind ourselves that when we take care of one another, we're all better off.